Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dreamers and doers, today we talk about a word that lives inside every moment of your desire, your drive, your discipline, and your downfall. That word is dopamine. Now, don't let the science scare you. This isn't just brain chemistry. This is the fuel behind ambition, the fire behind your hustle, the high you get not from reaching the top, but from climbing. Dopamine isn't just happiness. It's the pursuit of it. Dopamine is often misunderstood as the chemical of happiness, but in reality, it is the chemical of anticipation, motivation, and pursuit. It's not about the final destination or the achievement itself. It's about the journey, the hustle, the effort you put in every single day. When you set a goal, your brain starts releasing dopamine as soon as you take the first step toward it. That feeling of excitement when you're working late on your dream project, training hard for a competition, or building something from scratch, that's dopamine at work. It's the reward your brain gives you not for arriving, but for moving forward. This is why people like Priyanka Chopra keep evolving. It's not just about awards, fame, or recognition. It's about staying in the game. Her journey, filled with auditions, rejections, relocations, and reinventions, was driven by this internal dopamine engine, constantly pushing her to do more, to be more. The reason some people rise against all odds is not because they're lucky or naturally gifted. It's because their minds have learned to fall in love with progress, with effort, with the grind. The key is understanding that dopamine thrives in effort-based rewards. When you set meaningful challenges and take action, dopamine flows freely, fueling your energy, focus, and drive. But if you chase shortcuts, scrolling for quick likes, indulging in fast entertainment, or avoiding discomfort, you rewire your brain to expect instant gratification. Over time, this dulls your natural motivation. The climb becomes too steep, and you lose the fire to push through adversity. Understanding this one fact can transform your life. When you realize dopamine is activated by the pursuit, you stop waiting for motivation to strike and instead start building systems and goals that excite you. You train your brain to enjoy small wins, to embrace progress, and to find meaning in effort. You shift from a result-obsessed mindset to a process-driven lifestyle. This is where real change happens, not when you finally get the promotion, the house, or the applause, but in the quiet, determined steps you take each day. When dopamine becomes your ally in action, not just reward, you discover the real joy is in the doing, not just the dream. That's when your life becomes unstoppable. Every day, whether we realize it or not, our brain is being trained. The source of this training is dopamine, the chemical that tells your brain what to desire and pursue. If you consistently expose yourself to instant gratification, like checking your phone every 5 minutes, binge watching shows, or chasing likes on social media, you condition your mind to crave easy rewards. This weakens your ability to focus on long-term goals. Over time, your dopamine system becomes hijacked by distractions, and suddenly, the idea of working hard for a future reward feels exhausting or boring. That's not a personality flaw, it's neurological conditioning. This is where the power of conscious training comes in. If you start feeding your brain with habits that delay gratification, like working on a difficult task, going to the gym, learning a new skill, or meditating, you begin to rewire your dopamine system. Instead of chasing fast pleasure, your brain starts craving purpose-driven effort. That's how high achievers think. They've trained themselves to fall in love with the process, not the prize. Think of Priyanka Chopra's journey. She could have easily taken shortcuts, relied on fame alone, or stayed in one comfort zone. But she kept evolving, from a beauty queen to an actress, from Bollywood to Hollywood, from performer to producer and entrepreneur. Why? Because her brain had been trained to pursue challenges. She kept her dopamine attached to growth, not comfort. She consciously chose discomfort, reinvention, and hard work over easy applause. This keynote reminds us that we are not victims of distraction or laziness. We are products of our repeated choices. If your day is filled with quick, fixed pleasures, your mind will resist anything that takes real effort. But if your day is shaped by focus, discipline, and delayed rewards, your mind will begin to crave meaningful work. That's how you turn potential into progress. So if you feel stuck, uninspired, or unmotivated, it's not a lack of talent. It's a training issue. The good news, training can be changed. By limiting dopamine, reining habits, and feeding your mind with discipline, you can reshape your motivation at the core. You can train your brain to pursue greatness and actually enjoy it. That's the real power of understanding dopamine. We often wait for motivation to strike like lightning, hoping that one magical morning we'll wake up with unshakable energy and clarity. But that's not how success works. Motivation is unreliable, inconsistent, and temporary. What truly builds momentum, what truly shapes our dopamine and our destiny, is discipline. When you consistently take action regardless of how you feel, you teach your brain to associate effort with reward. Dopamine starts flowing not because you feel excited, but because your body and mind have learned to move anyway. Priyanka Chopra's rise wasn't fueled by constant motivation. She faced harsh criticism, cultural barriers, and countless rejections. But what separated her from others was discipline, getting up each day, showing up fully, learning, failing, and returning stronger. She built routines, held herself accountable, and kept moving even when applause was silent. Over time, that discipline shaped her identity, rewired her dopamine system, and made her a force of nature. When you rely on motivation, you give power to your emotions. You let mood decide whether you act or delay. But when you rely on discipline, you take full control. You don't ask how you feel, you simply do what must be done. Eventually, your brain starts to expect these actions and rewards you with dopamine not just at the finish line, but throughout the process. For example, going to the gym might feel like a chore at first, but the more consistently you go, the more your brain begins to link effort with positive emotion. It starts to release dopamine not just after a great workout, but even in anticipation of one. That's the magic of training discipline. Your brain begins to crave progress because you've taught it to find joy in hard work. This principle applies to every area of life: studying, building a business, learning a new craft, developing relationships. Discipline is the silent sculptor of success. It shapes you slowly, quietly, but powerfully, and the more you live by it, the less you depend on fleeting motivation. So remember this: motivation may come and go, but discipline builds a system. And when you build a system, dopamine becomes your partner in progress. You don't chase motivation anymore, you create it. That's how winners are made. We live in a world that often tells us to seek ease, avoid pain, and chase comfort. But true fulfillment, the kind that lights up your brain and fuels your soul, comes from struggle. Dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, is not released when life is easy. It flows when you fight, fall, rise, and overcome. That's the beautiful paradox of the human mind. It rewards you not for taking the smooth road, but for surviving the storm and still choosing to move forward. Struggle activates your brain's reward systems because it signals effort, resilience, and growth. When you push through a tough workout, stay up late to finish a project, or overcome personal doubts, your brain releases dopamine as a way of saying, "You're on the right path, keep going." This is why people who consistently challenge themselves, mentally, physically, emotionally, often report greater satisfaction and meaning in life. They're not addicted to stress, they're in love with evolution. Take Priyanka Chopra as an example. She didn't just walk into success, she battled for it. From being body shamed to navigating two wildly different film industries, from cultural stereotyping to intense competition, her path was anything but easy. Yet it was in these struggles that she found her strength. Every hardship became a stepping stone, every rejection a redirection. Her brain, like yours, rewarded her not when she arrived, but when she endured. What this means for us is powerful. Struggle isn't a sign that something's wrong, it's a sign that something real is happening. It means you care, you're growing, you're alive. When you choose struggle over comfort, you choose long-term joy over short-term relief. Your brain begins to associate challenge with purpose, and purpose with fulfillment. That's a dopamine loop worth building. So don't run from struggle, embrace it, let it shape you, stretch you, and introduce you to the strongest version of yourself. Whether you're starting over, building something new, or simply fighting to keep going, understand that your brain is wired to reward effort, not avoidance. The harder the climb, the sweeter the reward, not just in results, but in how deeply you respect and love the person you become. That's the secret ingredient most people miss. Struggle is not your enemy, it's your path to greatness.